Welcome to LSR Live. Boy, am I happy to be with you guys for this episode. We're going to be dealing with one of the most important laws of health, and that is exercise. We're going to have LSR's own Erin and Lauren doing an exercise demo using things that you can use in the privacy and comfort of your own home. The convenience of doing some type of exercise daily, even during winter months. If you're in cold climates, you can do these little exercise routines that they're going to teach you. And of course, I'm your host, Scott Ritzema, and I'm very happy to be with you guys at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central this time. That's our new time for LSR Live. If you're watching this on the archive, join us live on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. We'll keep doing this every week together, but it's New Year's. Let's have a resolution to exercise. And right there on the screen, thank you for making these programs possible with your purchases. But this is an investment in your own health and your family's health. And do you notice the discount there? This is the time to do a detox. It's New Year's, and it's massively discounted from $550 down to $399. And what is it? It's a comprehensive course featuring Barbara O'Neill with how to detox, how to cleanse and reset and restart in this new year for a healthy 2025. So happy New Year to you all. And be sure to scan that QR code, check that out, and do it with a friend. Do it with a church group. Do it with a family member. And I think you will not be disappointed. And we want to hear in the comments, too, how folks are enjoying that detox, because I think you're going to find that it's going to clear up the mind, the body, and you're just going to feel amazing. It's going to be the best year of your life. We tend to age, right, each passing year, but sometimes we're aging in numbers, but we're actually feeling better because we're making the right health choices like you find on that QR code right there. So take advantage of the discount. It's a limited time New Year's special. Discounted from $550 down to $399. Worth every bit of it. And if you're overseas, if you're in developing nations, you watch and enjoy this, and that's out of range for us, just keep tuning in here. We get bits and pieces of this every week, every video, every short that gets posted on this channel, on this platform, you can enjoy. And then the course puts it all together in a comprehensive way and walks you through it step by step so you can take action, gives you an action plan for a 7-day detox, just like you would have if you actually became a resident and a guest at Living Springs Retreat in Alabama, which we very much enjoy having people in person, but not everybody can come. But you can come via the internet. So the virtual retreat, the online retreat, the detox course featuring Barbara O'Neill. Now our guests, or not our guests, this is LSR's own Erin and Lauren. They are ready to go, suited up with all the weights and the mat and everything to teach you guys some basic exercise techniques that we can do safely. And you're in the living room there. Isn't this a nice context for this kind of thing? We don't have to go to the gym. We don't have to do it in some extreme way. But let's get busy. Let's get active. What are you going to teach us today, Erin and Lauren?
Hi, Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. And everyone, it's good to have you with us. We just wanted to show you some dynamic warm-up drills that you can do and a few exercises just to get your body going. So we'll show those to you immediately. And the first one is called the bend over reach down. And so we want to kickstand our leg out in front of us, kind of like a bike kickstand with the toe up. We want to push our hips back like we're squatting, reach for the knee, shin, ankle, or toe. And then we're going to come right back up, roll the shoulders, and then switch feet. All right, so we're going to kickstand the other foot. Reach down, feel the stretch in the back of the thigh, come up, roll the shoulders back. And we're just going to go back and forth doing this for about a minute or so. Now, this can be done in a chair, and Erin can show us how to do that if some of you are a bit challenged with your balance. That's the good thing about exercise is there's always some sort of modification. If you can't do this, you could actually do this whole routine from a chair if you wanted to. So there's no excuse not to move. Exactly. And we're just using our body weights to lubricate our joints, taking the joint through the full range of motion. We're not holding it very long, which is why it's dynamic in nature. And this is the best way to warm up before activity. So let's go another 10 seconds or so. I want to make sure we get those hamstrings and those calves. This is a great way to really get those calves stretched out. We do a lot of walking and stair climbing. And so this is a great way to get those calves stretched out. Let's go one more. Don't forget to roll those shoulders back. Excellent. You know, stretching can be fun. It should be fun, right? So our next drill is called the leg cradle. So we're gonna stand on one leg and we're gonna try to drive our knee and our foot in like an east-west direction, like this. So we're just picking up the leg, and now we're gonna add a little tug, if you desire. It takes a little bit more balance to do this, and so you can also do this from a chair, which Lauren will show you. But what we're doing here is we're stretching out the muscles that rotate the hip. They can get really cranky when we sit too long. We're in the car for hours, etc. We have a desk job. And so it's very important to stretch out these muscles that actually rotate the hip and can relieve a lot of lower back pain. You can even do this stretch. You see me standing here, but you can actually do it against a wall for support. If you feel a little wobbly, you could stand next to your chair and you can do the same thing, holding onto your chair. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but you hold for about 2 seconds, giving that leg a nice tug up toward the chest, trying to get as tall in your spine as you can. And you'll notice that as you continue stretching, it gets a little bit easier. Do you want to explain what you're doing in the chair? I'm basically crossing my ankle over my thigh, and if you want a deeper stretch, you can lean forward for a bit deeper of a stretch. Some people have trouble just getting it up here like this, so you can just cross the ankle if you need to and gently press on the thigh. Everybody's at different levels of flexibility, so we're just taking that joint through the full range of motion. And it does get a little bit easier with each one that you do, so just be patient with yourself. And all of these drills really help improve your balance. That might be a goal for you this year, is to have better balance. And certainly this will help. Absolutely. Right. Now we're going to do some kick-ups. So we want to do an arms overhead movement, and we want to gently just lift the leg, trying to meet it with the hands. Now it doesn't matter really the height of the leg, but really we want to focus on keeping the leg straight and not bent. Good. So this helps with our hamstrings. It also helps to warm up the muscles more in the torso and the shoulders. And if you're unstable in your balance, you can certainly do it from a chair. And Erin's going to demonstrate that. That's right. This is a great way to warm up the shoulders too. Just a simple overhead reach. If you have shoulder issues, you can leave out the overhead reach and just do a leg lift like this. That's another way to do it. And so this is a terrific stretch, like you said, for the hamstrings. And to engage your core, using a lot of the core here to lift the limb. Right, let's just go 3 more. This will also engage the quadricep muscle, the thigh, as well. Last one here, and take the arms down. Great. So the next one is called a side bend reach. So you want to have your feet a little wider, maybe about shoulder width, and you're going to take the left arm and you're going to reach up toward the sky, and you're going to lean to your right. You get a nice stretch down the torso, and we're going to release that and then do the other side all the way up and over. Just feels terrific. You know, our bones, they really need a daily shake-up. They need to be pressed and pushed and pulled and twisted against gravity on a daily basis. And so stretching is not only appropriate for exercise, but it's also great for managing pain. If you have pain in your joints, if you're battling arthritis or gout, osteoporosis, one of the best things you can do is to start moving more. And so these are all user-friendly stretches for those folks who are battling these diseases. Very good. Let's do 2 more. Really enjoying this. 1 more. All right. You guys feeling looser? We have one more dynamic stretch for you, and it's called the hip flexor stretch. And Erin's going to demonstrate from the chair, and I'll demonstrate from the floor. Actually from the standing position. So we want to kickstand our leg, kind of like a bicycle kickstand. And we want to kind of tuck the hip underneath of ourselves, right? slightly bend the knee and then lean back, and we're going to feel a nice stretch in the hip flexor area. Then we're going to meet together and switch legs. So we're going to kickstand the other foot, get your balance, stare at something on the floor, and then we're going to tuck the hips under, lean back slightly, and the more you bend your knee, the deeper the stretch. And again, we're getting this area right in through here. Tight for many of us. If you sit at a desk a lot or just sit most of the day, your flexors are constantly flexed. And so this can have negative consequences on your lower back if we're not consciously aware that, hey, we need to remember to stretch out our hip flexors, especially right before exercising. And it doesn't take long to do. Now, Erin has an interesting version here from the chair. Yeah, if you have a chair at home, it's a great way to stretch out your hip flexors. I'm sitting on the edge of my chair, and it's nice if your chair has a back so that you can use it for balance. So I'm going to turn one direction, holding onto the back of my chair, and I'm going to reach back with my trailing leg, really as far as I comfortably want to go. And I'm going to try to drive the heel down toward the floor, squeezing my glutes. I'm going to just hold that stretch by leaning back slightly. I get a nice stretch in through here. As Lauren mentioned, the hip flexor, and then you can come out of that and then do the other side. And this one's friendly because you're not using as much of your leg strength, but still it's a terrific stretch. Even if you're advanced in your stretching regimen, it's just a great way to stretch out those flexors. Yeah, and relieve that lower back pain that many of us battle. We'll do one more on each side here because our minute is about up. We're going to go into our exercises. Great. So our exercises, we're going to start with what's called a squat. Squat is a terrific exercise. If you have time to only do one exercise, we would say the squat is the way to go. So with your squat, we just want to take our index fingers and we're going to place them on our hip flexors right here like this. We've got a nice wide stance with our feet. We're going to try to spill the imaginary bucket of water that's sitting on our pelvis. We're going to try to spill that water out. So that means we want to pinch the belly and the thigh, and pinch our fingers, which is placed between the belly and the thigh. We're going to pinch, 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 and then drive away from the floor. So we're pushing down into the ground, boom, as we come up. That's it. So we're spreading our imaginary pockets here. If you had pockets on your pants here in the back, you want to spread your pockets and load what we call the muscles of the hamstring, which are connected from the buttocks and then all the way down to the calf there. So we're doing a squat. Now we're going to add a knee hug. We're going to hug the knee. So we squat, and then we're going to hug one knee into the chest, place the foot down, squat again, and then hug the knee. So now it becomes a little bit more dynamic. You can certainly keep your fingers on your hip flexors if you want, or you can hold your arms out in front of you like this. So we're going to go a few more seconds. Again, the squat is very dynamic. So you're using a lot of the major muscle groups. You're exercising obviously your legs, the glutes, the core, even your postural muscles are having to stabilize and work. Now, I'm using the chair here for balance because some people need chairs. So we want to have that option for you that you're trying to reach your rear end back over top of that chair, tap it, and then try to lift. Tap, so you have a target, and then lift that leg. Good. Great work. So let's do one more here. Excellent. Right. So now we're going to incorporate an all-body move. Now, Erin's going to do the modified version. I'm going to show you, if you have a mat, it's really nice to put one foot at the edge of each mat. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into our squat. So we're going to try to pinch your fingers at your hip flexors. We're going to squat down, reach for the ground. We're going to walk out to a push-up position. You can do a push-up if you want. And then we're going to come back up the same way we came, reach overhead. Now, the challenge, guys, is that we're going to go for a minute. We're going to put our timer on. Are you ready? Choose your options. Chair, mat, ready. Let's go. So with this one, guys, we want to make sure that we're not drooping our hips. And then we want to make sure that we're keeping our shoulders pulled down away from our ears. so that we're not hiking them unnecessarily.
Now, Erin's going to explain what she's doing with the chair.
Yes, that's right. If you're not ready for the floor yet, you can make this a little bit easier. You can see that my knees are right next to the chair. My feet are right underneath that chair. I'm going to place my hands nice and flat. I'm going to walk one leg out at a time, but I'm still keeping my limbs straight. And then I'm going to come back up and I reach for the sky. We have 20 seconds. So it's still dynamic, but I'm not having to lift so much of my body weight. So this is a great way to start. You can even go something a little bit lower if you want to use your rebounder or a coffee table or whatever, something sturdy.
Last 3, 2, 1, and that's time.
So that's our crawl out. Excellent.
Did you do the push-up?
So now we want to introduce the weights. So if you have hand weights or if you have soup cans or whatever you have that's resistance lying around your home, we actually have dumbbells. And so we're going to use those for this exercise. It's called a bent over row. And the name implies what we're doing. We're going to have our wrists face away the thigh. Our feet are about shoulder width. And we're going to hinge from the hip, just like with that squat pattern. We're going to make sure our arms are extended. And then we're going to pull back, drive the elbows back. So the weights are up here at your ribs. And then we're going to release. We're going to go for 4 more. Squeezing the shoulder blades together. 2, 3, yep, take that time to squeeze it. And 4, then we're just gonna stand, release the spine, and we're gonna go back down for another round. We're actually gonna do 5 here. So it's knee all the way up to the navel, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. This is such a terrific exercise for the posture. You might say, oh, my posture is not very good. Well, this is an exercise that you can do to strengthen it. Our shoulders tend to droop forward and we start to shrink. No, we don't want that. So you can do your bent over rows. I'm really starting to feel this in my upper back. Let's stand, release. It's also great for your glutes and your torso muscles because we're having to balance. And it's kind of like an isometric hold for those glutes, especially with the weights being in front. They have to contract. That's right. That's right. You're also working the biceps too. You might feel it there. And then we're going to stand and release that. It's probably been about a minute. Whew, I feel that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Now, friends, don't feel bad if you don't have weights or you don't want to start right off with weights. Just go through the movement mock style, right? Engage those shoulder blades. That's the best way to learn, is just to engage and contract those muscles.
Yes. And always neutral spine, right? The spine is always neutral, meaning that we're keeping that arch in the lower back as we row. So we're not putting stress on the lower back. We're putting stress in the right area here in the upper back.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Now our last exercise is in, out drill. So we're going to take our feet wide. This is what it looks like. In, out, out. In, out, out. So we're going to go 30 seconds. Again, keep your posture correct. We're going to go right now. In, out, out. It's fast feet. So we want to try to keep the torso still, but you're moving your feet as quickly as possible. On the toes, working the calves, working the abdominals. It reminds me of a football player drill. But it really does shoot your heart rate up. It might look easy at home, but give it a try. It's actually deceptively hard. Yes. It's a good way to get some pinned up energy out of the kids. You just start them on this, okay? Very good.
5 seconds.
Ooh, my legs are burning.
Yes, mine are too. All right, let's march it out. Good job, guys.
That's your little workout. Now, you can go back and you can repeat. Do you remember the first exercise we did? It's okay. We're not quizzing you, but it was the squat with a knee hug. Remember that? You go back, you repeat the circuit. Or you can stop right there. March it out, right? Because my heart rate went up. Sure did. Just march it out to cool down. And that's the little workout we wanted to show you.
Only at LSR do you get synchronized twins and a video, folks, that you can save and do this every morning. Like, save this link, share this link, and you can go through. They got more to share with you. You see the rebounder, they've got some stretchy things and other things they're going to show you. But just there, you got a daily workout you can start with and even just do it once the first day. And with no weights, or grab a couple of soup cans or something like that if you don't have weights, and just get busy doing something. Even if you're doing it all inverted and modified, don't worry about that. No one's judging. In fact, you're doing it. How many people actually exercise every day? If you do something, you're already in the top quartile of performers. So I'm everybody's biggest fan. And by the way, Erin and Lauren, I know, set the bar pretty high that they can carry on a conversation while doing these. I mean, if I was doing those side steps things, I remember doing those in soccer practice as a kid. If I did those right now, man, I wouldn't be able to do the demo. I'd be like, can you talk for me? But I think a lot of people, hopefully, even during the live broadcast, did any of you guys, get up and start doing some of this stuff? I couldn't. I have to be in front of the mic. That's the reason I'm not. Yeah, but anyway, I love that opener. So, do you recommend doing that routine and then following it up also with what you're going to show us next? Or would that be like an every other day? Do you do all these in one day?
You could certainly do this routine every other day. To sandwich this routine, like the next day, you could do something like you're taking a walk. You find a big hill in your neighborhood and you're power walking up the hill, or you're power walking on the track, you're going for a bike ride, or even rebounding. Any kind of cardiovascular training is great where it's a prolonged period of time, 30 minutes. That's a great way to go into, like, let's say Monday, you're doing some weight training, you're doing some resistance training. And then Tuesday, you can go into your cardiovascular training. Now, we brought in the rebounder as a way to say, hey, you know what? This is a versatile tool that you can use this as a part of your warm-up. Now, we just showed you a few exercises like with your dynamic warm-up that you can do, but actually the rebounder is great for lubricating your joints, the vertebrae in your back, and really opening up those chest and torso muscles and activating the gluteals. So certainly if you have a rebounder, you can bounce on it for a few minutes as a part of your warm-up regimen before going into the dynamic drills that we showed you earlier.
Well, show us. Yeah, take us through the next series of exercises.
All right. So Erin's going to get up on the rebounder. I like to take off my shoes because I feel like I work a little bit harder. Like the bottoms of my feet can actually connect to the mat. And so there's some benefit there. In fact, we were talking about balance earlier, and one of the best ways to improve your balance is actually to stand on the rebounder and use the rebounder as often as possible. You wouldn't normally make that connection. Oh, I want better balance, I should stay off the rebounder, but it's actually the opposite to achieve better balance. Right. And it's just a fancy way to say how the rebounder works is that it repairs the brain's responsiveness to the vestibular apparatus within the inner ear. So how we gain our balance is through vestibular, the inner ear, through the proprioceptors and our muscles and joints, and also through our vision. And so one of the great ways to really work all of them, is to get on the rebounder. And we really advocate the rebounder a lot, and so does Barbara O'Neill, because of the fact that it's not straining on the joints. And many of us are trying to overcome joint issues. We have musculoskeletal issues, some of us, and we still want to get a nice quality workout. Well, the rebounder will give you that, whether it's a warm-up or whether you're wanting to do some interval training. So Erin, a minute ago, was doing more of the health bounce. And that's just when you're lifting your heels off of the mat, and your goal is to just press the heel down into the mat. She's not actually jumping. She's actually pushing down, which a lot of people don't realize with rebounding is that you want to push down and not jump up. So again, she's trying to keep her hips flexed and her knees are slightly bent. So now I'm actually going to get some air underneath my feet, and you can tell that my goal here, like Lauren just said, is I'm trying to push down.
the more I can force my feet down into the mat, the more speed or power I'm going to get with this move. And I'm actually recruiting a lot of muscles of the core. Now, our hips are actually a part of our core, and so is our postural muscles. So all of those are actually being engaged right now. And you can tell I'm starting to breathe a little bit harder, but I'm pulling my knees up toward the chest, and I'm pushing down into the mat. And this makes it a lot more challenging because I'm not trying to go up, I'm actually trying to go down. And this is really recruiting a lot of the muscles in the lower pelvic region, as well as the gluteals, the hamstrings, the calves, the foot muscles. So this is the core right here. And you can either pick up the pace, for 30 seconds if you're doing intervals, or, you're in between intervals and you just want to rest for that 90-second period, right? So that it gives you a lot of flexibility. That's right. So Scott, do you like to rebound?
Just like every Barbara O'Neill fan, we went out and bought one, when we saw the videos and started learning about that from Barbara. And, I'm doing research on lymphatic and all of that, like you guys teach. And I'm like, whoa, you can get a lot of benefit from rebounding out of 1 minute of it. And so maybe some people bought it and they're like, okay, I want to do the full routine for so many minutes and cardio and stuff. And then it's like all or nothing thinking. I didn't get to it, so I might as well not do it at all. But, it's good to do a full routine like you guys are teaching. But a minute is a whole lot better than 0 minutes. So just take the shoes off, do 100 hops, and get back on with your day. If you're not able to do a full exercise routine, just keep moving. I was thinking about God making Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. They're not in there all sitting there in chairs, sitting on computers, on their devices, watching TV. God didn't make us to be sedentary, so we just got to get moving in whatever way works best for you. You might not do all of these moves, but are you doing something? And my wife does religiously a exercise video every morning. And what I'm seeing here with you guys, if I would zip it and let you get back to your routine, is just an exercise video folks can do and just replay this video again and again. So keep at it. Show us some more.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, well, this might be a good time to mention high intensity interval training, or what we call HIIT training. And you can do HIIT on your rebounder, right? Yep, you can certainly do HIIT on your rebounder. It's going hard for 30 seconds and then resting for 90 seconds. And you're doing those cycles 4 to 6 times. 4 if you're a beginner and you're new to HIIT, and 6 if you're seasoned. Even 6, 7, or 8 if you want to push yourself. But Erin and I like to spice it up, especially when guests come, and we like to show them different moves for 30 seconds so that they can pick which ones they like the best. And we don't normally do it with the rebounder when all the guests are here with us because we don't have like 14 rebounders. But if you have a rebounder at home, this is a great way. If you love jumping jacks, go ahead and do some jumping jacks. Keep your knees bent, keep your hips pushed back, and you're going to get a terrific intensity workout. Go as fast and as hard as you can if a bear was chasing you for 30 seconds. And our body says, oh, I hate this. But after that 30 seconds and you're resting, you kind of forget the pain because you're like, okay, I can rest. Now, what does a rest look like? So a rest could be you are just trying to catch your breath. You have just gone all the way out. So I'm just collecting myself. You could still keep moving slightly. Like I'm just doing a little bit of a health bounce. Or you could do a little side to side. Or if you're sprinting up a hill, for example, you could just kind of march in place. Just collect yourself for that 90 seconds. You can even march here to recover. And make sure that you have a trusty stopwatch so you can keep a good eye on your time. And then you're ready for that next round, right? Right. So let's say maybe jumping jacks are not your thing, but you could try a high knee run. So this is great. I'm pulling the knees up, but yet I'm still pushing down and I'm pumping my arms as fast as you can. Right. It's terrific. So, again, it's not jarring on your joints. Now, if you haven't done HIIT before, ease into it. Don't go all out all at once because your body is not used to that and you might just fizzle out after the first 2, cycles. So just push yourself. It's like you're pushing that gas pedal and then you're letting it off after that 30 seconds. Give your body a chance to get accustomed to it. Yeah, if you're not used to HIIT, you know, it's recommended that you start HIIT maybe twice a week, and then you can increase to 3 times a week, preferably not consecutive days, so you can give your body a chance to recover. But that's just an example.
This might not be the right context for me to mention the cheat, but I found a cheat so that I could relieve myself of high intensity interval training, because I was hearing about the human growth hormone benefits from HIIT, and I'm like, I'm going to get out there and do it. And I'm going for these sprints and just like, oh. And then I learned if I do intermittent fasting, eat 2 meals a day, I eat at 8 a.m. and 2 p.m., and you get major benefits of human growth hormone that also HIIT gets you. But the exercise gives you more benefits than just the HGH, which is like this fountain of youth concept, you know, not literally, but you guys have got it right. And why not do both if you can, right? Do the intermittent fasting and your exercise routine of a cardio and high intensity method.
Absolutely. And that will ensure that you eat a hearty breakfast and you'll keep up that cycle of 2 meals a day. Because if you wake up in the morning and you're not all that hungry, well, you can certainly exercise and see if that helps.
There you go.
And, you know, as we age, after age 30, our metabolism starts to go down if we're not doing anything about it, if we're not lifting weights, if we're not moving. So that's the beauty of the weight training, the cardiovascular training, is that your basal metabolic rate is going to go up. So what does that mean? It means that you're going to be burning fat at rest when you're just talking on your phone, when you're sitting there on the couch reading the paper or a book. And that's really what we want. That's what we want. So it's easier to not put on weight or to maintain your weight. Right. The key to remember that. Lean muscle tissue is your furnace. Fat tissue does not burn calories. Lean muscle tissue does. So the more we can get into the gym and do some building, our body will burn for us. And as we age, it won't become a problem, because we know obesity is becoming a problem and the diseases that result from obesity. And so the truth is, only about 18% of Americans get the recommended amount of exercise that they need per week. We need 150 minutes of exercise per week. And anything less than that is deficiency. Anything less than that is not acceptable. We live in a society where we can drive anywhere. We can even have people buy our groceries for us and take it out to our car. This is hurting us. The conveniences are great, but if we're not purposely pursuing an active lifestyle, it will come back and bite us.
There's no doubt about that. And all the research supports that. You get such major health benefits out of exercise: mental health, physical health, of course, disease risk reduction, lifespan. But also, you just said 150 minutes. That's only 30 minutes, 5 days a week. That's a 30-minute walk 5 days a week, and 2 days you don't go for a walk. That's setting the bar quite low, I think, 150 minutes. How about also when you're not doing an exercise period where it's like, this is my 30 minutes to exercise. If you are just counting steps and you're trying to move a lot, and I'm moving extra, or maybe I'm already moving enough with the way that I already live, what's a recommended number of steps per day where you don't necessarily have to be going out of your way to do a whole lot of formal exercise? I know the weight training and the stretching and the rebounding has its own benefits, but just as far as a base level amount of motion in your body, is it like 10,000 steps a day?
You know, that's a good question, because I've heard different ones. And I don't actually know the exact answer for that, Scott. It is nice to keep a tracker. I have a tracker that measures my steps, and I may not do a specific workout that day, but I can see how active have I been. And I can tell in my muscles, I haven't moved very much today because my step count is low. But I think the good benefit of having a step count is it gives you that awareness. How active have I been? You know, what are the results saying? What is the objective evidence here? And then I think that really will promote progress in fitness as we realize, I could step it up a notch. I'm going to try to get to 14,000 steps today instead of 10. I'm going to try to get to 3,000 steps today instead of 500.
Yeah. And, you know, it also motivates you to do it more in terms of while you're doing something else. Like, I work a lot on my device, on my phone. And instead of sitting on the couch or sitting in a chair working, I'm like, why am I not just walking outside, pacing in the yard, or just going for a walk in the neighborhood while I do this? So I'm getting more fresh air, sunlight, exercise, all while getting work done. So you can multitask. Maybe people like to listen to a book, and you can go for a walk while listening to a book, listening to the Word of God. The Bible is on audio, all over the place. So, trying to combine these things, and then we're not having to, sacrifice so much time for exercise in and of itself, but it's exercise while doing other things is another way to do that. But I know a lot of people have time. You could turn off the show. You could take 30 minutes instead of sitting and watching that segment of that Netflix video, and instead turn on Erin and Lauren and their opening routine and do that 10 minutes, and then get on the rebounder. And then what else are you going to show us here with the show us the stretchy bands? Because a lot of people don't have a membership to a weight, to a fitness center where they're, pumping iron with all the machines and all that, or they don't have the dumbbells. And what can you do with these, easy to store little stretchy bands?
Okay, we're going to put the band on like we're putting on a pair of pants, Scott. These are called Thera bands, and they're pretty accessible. You can find them even at Walmart. You can find them at TJ Maxx. And it's just a little mini band that you can use for a couple different things. You can see that we have them right above the knee. And let's say you want to improve your squat pattern. Many people's glutes, a lot of people have what's called glute amnesia, meaning that the glute muscles are not firing as they should, mainly because we sit too much. And so what happens in a squat is that the knees start to buckle in with the squat, but with the band, it's a nice reminder. It's a physical reminder that we really need to spread our legs, and that will in turn fire the right muscles here of the hips and the glutes. Wow, and it feels really, it feels good to me. I like resistance. This band is pretty tight. You can get some resistance bands that are easier than others. But it really gives you that resistance without having to hold weight. Maybe you have wrist problems or problems with your fingers holding weights. So this is a great option for anyone who has those issues, or for someone who's just looking to avoid the knee buckling issue when they're squatting, because that can be a big problem. A dysfunctional movement pattern can add more problems, even if you're trying to do something good, right? So these things are almost physical therapy. Physical therapists use them, of course, but we have to give ourselves physical therapy. We have to make sure that we're activating our muscles properly. You can, in addition to the squat, you can do another exercise called the band walk, where you maintain this distance between your feet. You maintain that shoulder width distance, and you start to travel left to right. So I'm just taking small steps to the left and then to the right, maintaining that distance. It's actually quite challenging because naturally the legs are going to want to come together. So we're still maintaining that neutral spine. Although it looks kind of funny, it's very, very effective for stronger glutes. When you have stronger glutes, your lower back is going to be a lot happier. So that's a good place to start if you're very sedentary, is strengthening the glutes with that exercise. Right, and also the hips will strengthen as well, and that can help with any sort of problems you might have with your knees or even your feet. So it's a chain reaction, and when we can really strengthen these muscles, which a lot of us are weak here, we can develop problems. And so let's focus on keeping those glutes strong all the way around, back to the side, and even the front of the thighs, which the squat helps with that too.
My wife does that exact same move. You guys are reading off the same script. This stuff works. And by the way, she's been doing morning exercise religiously, I think, for about 4 years now. And the biggest benefit is just she feels better mentally, physically, of course. I mean, and here's the thing. When you get in an exercise routine, you become more motivated to eat right. That could be the best benefit, actually, to your weight management, is the fact that it's just good choices beget good choices. What other moves do you have for us, or other objects there, other exercise equipment?
Yes, we have another type of band that's very handy if you like handles.
You can certainly do a great postural exercise called the back row. We were doing the bent over version earlier, but you can certainly place this around a sturdy object or in the door. You can put it in the door jamb, and you can actually just stretch out the band like this, grab one hand with each handle, kickstand your back leg, and then I'm just going to pull the handlebars toward me while I'm moving my shoulder blades. And so this is a great way to strengthen your back muscles, your arm muscles, and also your torso muscles, because one leg is forward and the other leg is back. So it's going to help with your balance and your torso muscles as well. Don't forget to switch feet. You can also do one arm at a time. Yep. You can stand with your feet apart, and you can add a squat in if you're pressed for time and you want to add in more squats, or you're just trying to really load your legs that day in your workout. You can add the squat, or just try to row it out quickly for a minute. There's just a lot of options with these bands that you can use. We're just a big fan of the back row, especially because a lot of us, we don't pull enough. We're always pushing, push-ups, bench press, dumbbell presses. Those are great. We love those. But don't forget about your back muscles. That's right. That's right.
With strength training, you're alternating days, aren't you? Pushing days versus pulling days. So,
Yeah.
you're pulling just as much as you're pushing.
That's right. Yeah, you want a nice balance with that, because like Lauren said, we could overdo it with too much pushing and we forget about the posture. So it's actually really nice to do some sort of row every day. It doesn't have to be with weights. It could be a simple, what we call the arm swing. And every time you pull your arms back, you're just squeezing your shoulder blades together. This is a nice exercise to do. I like to do this between push-ups when I do my push-up sets. Just a nice way to get that in.
It's people might underestimate the arms moving. I did a long walk back in May or early June. I just set a goal. It's just like I got it in my head. I have to walk 100,000 steps in a day, 5 a.m. to 9 p.m., 50-mile walk. If folks know Michigan, it was from Grand Rapids to Big Rapids. And, you figure, my legs are going to be aching. And I couldn't believe how sore my shoulders were just from doing this all day long. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Amazing. And, when we're thinking about, exercise, somebody might be thinking, I wish I had enough energy to actually exercise and be active. But what a lot of us don't realize is that the more we exercise, the more it's going to generate that energy. So consistent exercise will give you consistent energy. It's just that initial start, that initial few weeks where it's most painful and arduous, where we don't particularly like it, we're not enjoying it. But if you can reach that 21-day marker, then it's become a habit. And then if you can reach that 60-day marker, which is only 2 months, that's not that long, then it's really in cement. It's a part of your life. So really the hardest thing is reaching that 21-day mark. And that's when a lot of people fall off the wagon, but you don't have to be that person that falls off. You can wake up every day. You can say, okay, when am I going to exercise? And you ask God to help you to get it in. And remember that anything is better than nothing.
Absolutely. I mean, I often teach families on family worship and having the children around for prayer and the reading of God's word. And so many people do the same thing with that. Well, if it can't be a full 30-minute thing with a piano and songs, but you know what? If you just have 3-4 minutes to just read a scripture and have prayer and have that time. And same thing here. Just if it's a crazy morning, get on the rebounder for 5 minutes. Or 4 minutes, just do something so you don't break the habit. It's getting the habit in place that's the key. There's this problem with all or nothing thinking. If I can't do the full thing, then I might as well not do it at all. But for 21 days, or would you say a 21-day period of time, 3 weeks, where you're doing an exercise for 5 or 6 days of the week, right? So you're still getting the habit ingrained, but you have a rest day where maybe you just walk a bit on a Sabbath or whatever. So yeah, that's I think you nailed it with that. Get to the 21 days, folks. Take New Year's right now. Even if you're watching this a few days after the New Year's Day, get busy, get started with something and do it for 21 days. And then you can add to that from there.
That's right. And if you can have a buddy or your spouse or your neighbor, your sister to keep you accountable, it's great. It's great to find that workout person that's going to say, okay, you ready? We're going to meet at 5 a.m. or whatever. We're going to do this in the evening. Like you said with your wife, she does a workout video. And so that keeps her accountable. And so you have to know yourself, and you have to know, okay, I'm never going to go for a run because I hate to run, or I'm never going to go cycling. I don't like to bike. You have to find what you like, what works for you. You might say, oh, I'm really stoked about the rebounder, and maybe that's your thing. But you find out what you like. And also remember that variety is the spice of life. And so if we're consistently always doing the same thing, your body gets used to it, and you actually stop burning a lot of calories doing that particular exercise. So you want to change it up, and that's why weight training is really good. Power walking, getting in the swimming pool, HIIT training. Give yourself some variety.
Oh, that's some good advice. Well, do you have any other routines, any exercises that you haven't gotten to yet?
From pain?
Did you want to go over the neutral spine?
Yeah, just for a second. We mentioned about our neutral spine earlier with the hand, and I want to make sure that everybody kind of understands more. Erin's going to be our model. Okay. She's going to turn sideways. And so I'm just going to have this broom handle balanced. It's the back of her head between her shoulder blades and onto her tailbone. Now she's going to go ahead and flex her hips. All right. And you notice that the broom handle is right there. It's not leaving her shoulders, her head, or anything like that. So, and you'll see here, there's a nice curvature. So this is just something to practice. We all want to do squats right because we don't want to add, we don't want to hurt ourselves. We don't want to add any dysfunction. So this is a good way to measure if you're flexing your hips correctly. Very helpful. I think what else, other things that might prevent us from exercise is we have an injury or we're just in pain. So some of the things that we like to do to combat pain is what we call SMR, or self-myofascial release, aka poor man's massage, with various tools like a baseball, a tennis ball, or a golf ball, to get those knots out of the muscle so that blood flow can come in and you can start to feel better and move better. Sometimes the knots can even make you feel like you don't even have any flexibility. If you have been doing repetitive motions, if you've sustained some sort of injury, a car accident, whether you break a leg, sprain an ankle, or get whiplash, you're going to have trigger knots. You're going to have adhesions within the muscle tissue that affect the fascial system of the muscle and the neural. So sometimes we have a problem over here and it's referring pain up here. But what we like to call a toothbrush for the muscles is a stretching stick. And this stick is really handy for just getting circulation going in the muscle tissue, which all we know is that the life of the flesh is in the blood. So what we're doing is we're creating more circulation to bring more healing to the tissue. But athletes and beginners alike will use this device to stretch, to warm up. So in other words, what we're saying is that you can do this right before you start your dynamic warm-up, right before you do your weight routine, right before you get on your rebounder. And Erin is hitting different muscle groups. It's kind of acting like a rolling pin, and you're free to put as much pressure into it as you need to break up some of those adhesions and knots that form. So we're looking at inner thigh area. She was doing her calves, her lower calves, her thigh, the quadriceps. You can even do your IT band. It's handy for the lower body. There are moves to do for the upper body as well. But we like to call this the toothbrush for your muscles.
Yeah, we had the program on dental care, on taking care of your teeth. So now you're doing the dental of your muscles, aren't you?
Right. That's right. And, let's say you have some pain in your upper back. I remember years ago, I had to carry a heavy backpack. I walked to work several times a week, and my backpack was really heavy. And I woke up one morning and I could barely turn my head, and I had severe pain in my upper traps. And so what I did that gave me relief was I found a baseball, or you could use a tennis ball, a lacrosse ball, and you find a sock and you place it in your sock, and you can just put it across your shoulder like that, and you lean against a wall. So Lauren's going to be my wall for a minute. So Lauren's the wall, okay? So I'm going to lean against the wall. So I'm pinning the ball against the wall, and I'm going to hug myself, and I'm going to press into the ball, into the areas where I feel pain the most. And so I did this sort of release, and I was able to turn my head the next day without feeling pain. But I had to really find where I had the most pain in that upper trap and really press and hold. And I tell you, it was very painful. But eventually that knot relaxed, it released, and I had some blood flow, and I had relief. And so I'm very grateful to God to have these simple remedies that don't cost a lot of money, and you could do it any time. You can really, be your own doctor. Right. And the thing with weight training is that who wants to lift weights, right? Do some back exercises when you have a pain right between your shoulder blades, and it just feels uncomfortable. So it just means that there's a knot in there that needs to be worked out. It may not be all worked out all at once with the ball. It depends on how long the knot has been there. But typically to get out a nasty trigger point, it's going to take about 30 seconds to a minute if you're just pressing and holding into it. Now, the thing with myofascial release is that you don't want to massage right back behind the knee, in the popliteal space here. You can avoid the bones. Like, you don't have to massage your bones, just on the fleshy part of your body. Go ahead.
Oh, no, finish with that.
Okay, so another fleshy part of the body that really needs a lot of massage is actually the bottoms of our feet. And so we need a precise tool. And so oftentimes a golf ball is really handy, and we all have one in the garage somewhere. And it just feels amazing to actually roll out your foot, just pressing gently into the ball, as much pressure as you need to really help. It's going to help the muscles of the calves as well. And it loosens up those tight muscles. Maybe you're on your feet all day. Maybe you're not on your feet all day. We just need to get those muscles loosened up so that your walks and your runs and your fitness training are just more enjoyable and functional. I know for me, if I don't do this weekly, sometimes it will get so tight that I'm out on a walk and I start limping because my plantar fascia has gotten tight. And I say to myself, okay, Lauren, when was the last time you had your golf ball out? When was the last time you did some foot stretches? Don't neglect your feet, because it hindered my workout. I had to go back and grab my golf ball and do my therapy on my foot so that I could finish my walking. So we have to be aware of what our body's needs are.
Yeah, what's next? What do you have there, Erin?
The beauty of all this is that there's so many different tools. We like to use what's called the foam roller too, and these are very accessible. You can even find them at Walmart, Target. They're at most gyms. They're very popular, and you can place it on the floor. And let's say you want to roll your, let's say you have some pain maybe in your shoulder area. You've got some tightness here. A lot of attachments usually fall in here around the lats, and so you can actually roll that area here. I'm just stretching out across the roller, and I'm going to put the roller not right underneath my armpit, but a little bit lower than that. And I'm just going to push and pull slightly into that fleshy area. And I feel a lot of trigger points myself. This shows me that I need to be doing this more often, but especially with all the rowing or pull-ups, if you're on a rowing machine, or if you're a swimmer, you play tennis, those repetitive moves can cause trigger points. And so it's a good idea, even for maintenance, is just to roll the lats part of the serratus here that connects the back and the chest. That area gets kind of cranky sometimes, so you can use a roller for that. You can even roll your calf muscles as well. This way, how you point or flex your foot will also help you to hit different fibers. I like to point. I feel it a little bit more rather than flex, or even double up and roll your calf this way. It does require some more upper body strength. It's like an exercise of its own. But oh wow, I can really feel in the belly of the calf there. I've got some trigger points. You know, if you're walking on the pavement a lot, you're going to get those trigger points, those knots. So, or even if you wore some high heels, ladies, right? Sometimes we have to wear the cute shoes here and there. And I know I pay for it when I wear heels, but the calves suffer. And so we have to deal with what we've done, right? Now, sometimes if you want a little bit deeper of a massage, dealing with the difference between this foam roller and this one is that this one has nodules. So you're going to have a deeper tissue massage with something like this versus like this. You see the difference? So if you're new to foam rolling, go with this one first. Not that one, but that one. And then if you're more of a seasoned massager, you can try this one as well, and it's going to get deeper. Some people like massage very deep.
That's right.
I tell you, this thing years ago, I sustained a really bad injury as a young athlete. I was about 16, 17 years old. And long story short, some muscles in my hip got so tight that the muscles actually ripped part of my hip bone off. It just broke. And I couldn't walk for a while. And I was in a wheelchair and so forth. But eventually, I was young and I healed. But I had to have one of these things for therapy. And I had to actually roll out the side of my leg where my hip was affected so that these muscles could actually relax because they had gone through trauma and they weren't going to let go unless I went in there and did some tissue massage with it. And the physical therapist recommended that I did. And so what I did was he gave me one of these to take home and he said, Lauren, do it every day for such and such time. And I actually hated doing it because it hurt so bad, but it was the one thing that got me back to running again as a young athlete. And I was so grateful because I love to run. It was the only thing that could get me going back because of the injury, right? So no matter how old you are and you have an injury, you're going to have to address some of those muscles that went through trauma. And so this is what I did. And I rolled the side. And some of us run a lot, right? And we have IT band syndrome, or we have pain in the knees, so forth, or maybe you just do a lot of walking. At any rate, we need to get in here and get some of that stuff broken up. Yeah, so before, I'll just add this, before you go for your surgery, okay, pray about it, and then get a massage and see if that doesn't help. There's a great book called the Trigger Point Therapy Workbook that we have referred to a lot, and so many powerful stories on people who started getting massages and then did some myofascial relief and didn't have to get surgery, overcame their frozen shoulder, didn't have to get that hip replacement after all. You know, we have to ascertain the cause and say, why is this happening? And pray and ask the Lord to show you where the problem is, and he will help you to fix it. Another really good course is,
I was just going to say, the body heals itself. Isn't that beautiful?
That's right. Under the right conditions, it can heal. And you give it the right conditions, God will give you the wisdom to know how to take care of yourself. Another really good book is a book called The Complete Guide to Foam Rolling by Kyle Stull, S-T-U-L-L, Kyle Stull. There's pictures. There's why we use foam rollers. Foam rollers and these devices have been around for a long time. And there was a story of a doctor who actually would cut off the table leg and of the table, and it had little divots in it, and he would give it to his patients to go and massage their muscles because they had muscular pains. And so you'll read about the history in that book, and also there's pictures and demonstrations on how to use one of these, as well as the other tools like balls and rollers and different things like that might interest you.
Absolutely. Well, do you have any others? Because the next thing I was going to ask about was, since this is pre-recorded, we don't have people chiming in with questions, but what are some questions you often get? Maybe a question or two that comes to mind as you take guests at LSR who come for the retreat experience, and they're figuring this exercise thing out. What are some of the questions that you anticipate? And then also, as you see the QR code, folks, just a reminder of that big discount on the detox course. So don't forget about that. Make sure to take advantage of that big discount. But also, questions. And then also, for massage, is there a particular oil or product in the LSR store that is best for adding to the benefits of the physical massage?
Yes, to answer your question about something in our store to add to the benefits of massage would be the fractionated coconut oil. It's nice because it's liquid consistency, and so you can put that in a pump bottle and use for full body massage. You can even go the extra mile and put in a little bit of the essential oil in there, perhaps lavender or any essential oil of your choice. Probably don't want to use oregano. But anything that's calming, tranquility is really, really nice.
Even
peppermint.
Peppermint. You can use lemongrass. That's especially helpful with cramping. We also have what's called a deep blue rub, which is doTERRA makes the deep blue rub. And we have that in a blue bottle, which is very good. I've used that myself, and it acts sort of like an icy hot. So those are some things that I can think about for that. Yeah, as far as massage. And then I was just thinking to myself about the questions that some of the guests have for us. And Erin and I were talking about this earlier, that some people think that you can take flab and directly transform it into muscle simply by doing a certain exercise for that muscle group. Like, doing 1,000 crunches every day to lose that belly fat, right? Is that going to happen? No, it won't. So sadly to say, because we can't spot reduce, can we? Right. So what I'll say here is one of the best ways that I've read about and I've seen in my own experience with exercise is that total body workouts, interval training is one of the best ways to burn fat and to keep it off. Instead of just going in and say, okay, I have flabby thighs, I'm going to go do the leg adductor machine every day for 15, 20 minutes or whatever. Unfortunately, our bodies don't work like that. So again, interval training. Well, and I can use an example. I heard a trainer years ago when he was making a presentation in front of a group of people about fitness, and he said, does anybody ask you, let's say you've lost 50 pounds, let's say you've lost 100 pounds. Does anybody come up to you and say, hey, what kind of face exercises did you do? You look so much thinner on your face. I mean, I can see your jawline now. What kind of face exercises did you do? You see, the point here is that when we lose weight, our body will choose to lose weight where it wants. But Erin and I agree that you really need to be just burning calories, doing a total body fitness training, head to toe, every other day routine in conjunction with cardiovascular training. You're burning and you're building, burning, building. And if you're obese and really trying to lose that weight, don't eat anything after 2 or 3 o'clock, right? Start your intermittent fasting after that. Say, I am not going to have a morsel of food after 3 o'clock today. I will have fluids. I will have herbal tea, vegetable broth, something like that. But, it's just knowing when to cut off your calories, because as the day moves on, there's less and less time to burn those calories that you eat. And so going to bed without anything on your stomach is really what's going to help your stomach get defined. And then, of course, you're doing your exercises as your complementary work there.
It's one of the best incentives to get to bed on time, too. If you're like, I eat my last meal at 2 o'clock, my dinner at 2 o'clock, and so I don't eat after 3 o'clock. you're kind of wanting to go to bed at 9 because I don't want to stay up till midnight all hungry. So it's a good incentive to get to bed on time. And one thing I found is with weight management, it is really difficult to exercise off a bad diet. Like you can't out exercise a bad diet, really. Like I used to be addicted to those pints of ice cream, and it's like 900 calories. Even the plant, the so delicious kind, it's like 860 calories. And so I would eat that, and now I do the math and be like, okay, so to not gain weight by eating that on top of a regular meal and a regular day of eating, I have to jog or walk for 9 miles now just to pay off the ice cream. I'm like, that's not smart. So just work on diet and exercise simultaneously. If you're eating that full fiber, whole plant food diet, man, you're going to just win when you start incorporating these exercises.
Absolutely. I once read in a book that there was a doctor, he was a physical therapist, and he knew a lot about nutrition as well. But someone asked him, what's the best way to lose your belly? And he said, push away from the table.
That's the best exercise there is.
Push away from the table. That's your first start, right?
So, that's awesome.
And then to add to that, to increase your quality of plant-based foods. I knew you were going to say that. And to increase the quality and the quantity of your exercise routine. Mm-hmm. You incorporate those two things, and you're going to see some major changes in your body by God's grace. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how you've seen this, right? And people come and they're not with you for all that long. You can see the change in a short period of time begin, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Even our lifestyle guests, we have people who they do need to lose weight. They come, they're obese, and it's not uncommon they lose 10 pounds in that week. You can see that they look significantly not only lighter, but they look younger. Yeah. As a result of the juice fasting, the sauna, they're getting their daily exercise, they're eating plant-based foods, and they're being encouraged in their faith journey with the Lord, and it's just transformational. Oh yeah, it's like the wrinkles start to dissolve away. The childlike energy. We've had some of them just like running around even, and those that couldn't go up the steps the first day, or just walking up the steps casually, like it's nothing a few days later. So it is possible to change, and really a lot of it comes self-denial and better decisions. Now we don't like to hear about self-denial, but really we all can do that. We can all strive to be a little more self-denying and to add something to our health the way God would have us to add something on. And He will bless us when we seek Him for help and say, Lord, I know this, that, or the other is not good for me. I am addicted to that. Save me from it. Give me that ability to deny myself, to take up my cross today and follow you as my Savior.
That's a beautiful way to end. And God opens His hand and satisfies the desire of every living thing. So when we make those choices of self-denial, we don't become miserable as a result. Well, yeah, for a few days if we're coming off an addiction, it's hard to form a new habit, but there's major payoff to how happy we feel, how much energy we have. So it's actually not self-sacrifice. It's not actually self-denial. You're denying yourself short-term to get a longer and bigger term and bigger payoff for how we feel. So that's kind of a no-brainer. We just got to grit our teeth and do it. Ask for the strength, as Erin and Lauren were just telling us, from the Creator God. Sometimes I feel like, well, I don't have the willpower, to deny eating this or to get out and exercise. I don't have the willpower. And that's true biblically, that we don't have the willpower, but we do have a will. God gave us a will, and we can surrender that will to Him, and He has the power. So there's our willpower. The human and the divine united by Christ's strength, and the joy of the Lord will be that strength. So Erin and Lauren, thank you so much for the demo today. And folks can do this, what you guys do, where people are shedding 10 pounds that quickly. And, do this safely, do this under proper supervision and so on. And but the detox course, we'll just mention as we close, start the new year off with something like that. If it's not this actual detox course, make a commitment right now to do like what we do at Living Springs Retreat. Take it seriously, focus on this for a few days, And your loved ones will love the results too. It'll improve relationships, our work life, just everything will start to come alive when we make those choices. And I know most of our viewers get that. I'm not trying to preach at anybody, but I have things I want to take steps in this year, make another decision, take another step forward. So we'll see you guys on our next episode of LSR Live. Join us as we talk to Jennifer Schwerzer to discuss having a healthy mind. So we're going to see you on January 8th, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. I believe that's a typo on the screen. So we'll see you every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. It's my joy to be your friend and your host, Scott Ritzema. And we also, of course, want to thank our producer for this afternoon program, CDN, Christian Digital Network. From likes to lives changed. So follow CDN as well on their YouTube page and enjoy a lot of good content there. And let's get moving together.